Greetings, taxable assets. Or perhaps, considering the portfolio we are about to review, I should simply refer to you as collateral damage. Welcome back to the Departamento Analytica. I am your senior auditor, Valarius Krauss, and as always, I am joined by the only thing in this sector with less value than a depreciated las gun, the scribe.
P. Present, sir. Logging entry number 994-alpha. Systems are, recording.
Today, we are not here to have a pleasant chat. We are not here to discuss the aesthetic choices of your color schemes. We are here to conduct a forensic financial audit, an audit of a liability that has recently landed on my desk with the weight of a dying star. We are looking at a report submitted by a civilian contractor, a man who identifies himself as John from an organization calling itself Tau Tactics.
The file is titled, "The Stormsurge Might Be Cracked, Sir." It was uploaded alongside our own internal Departamento report.
Yes, the Beyond the Bolter Comprehensive Audit, our standard.
Correct, sir.
Cracked. A colloquialism implying value, implying power. I'll tell you what is cracked, scribe, the whole integrity of any budget that attempts to field this monstrosity in the fiscal year of 2026. The civilian contractor seems to believe that the KV-128 Stormsurge represents a viable investment. He calls it a sleeper. I call it a gross misappropriation of empire resources. Our mission today is simple. We're going to audit the return on violence of the Stormsurge against the current gold standard of fiscal responsibility, the XV-104 Riptide. We're going to see if this 360-point behemoth is a war machine, or if it is simply a tax write-off with legs. Scribe, pull up the contractor's opening valuation. What is the basis for this sudden civilian optimism?
Yes, Auditor. Accessing the Tau Tactics report now. According to the data provided, the Stormsurge has received a significant adjustment in the latest Munitorm field manual. It has received a points drop of 40 points, bringing its total cost down to 360 points.
40 points.
Yes, sir. The contractor, John, claims this has made it a, quote, big topic of conversation, and that top players are reconsidering its potential. He specifically notes that at 360, it enters a new bracket of efficiency.
A big topic of conversation. You know what else is a big topic of conversation, scribe? A heresy trial. Just because people are talking about it does not mean it is a sound investment. 40 points. They drop the price by the cost of a single, underfed squad of guardsmen, and suddenly we are supposed to believe the asset has liquidated its liabilities. Let's look at the numbers. The ledger does not lie, unlike civilian optimism. Scribe, explain to the listeners and to the contractor, if he's listening, what opportunity cost means in the context of the Tau Empire.
Opportunity cost refers to the potential benefits an individual, investor, or business misses out on when choosing one alternative over another. In this case, choosing the Stormsurge prevents the acquisition of other assets.
Exactly. When you spend 360 points on a Stormsurge, you are not just spending 360 points. You are not spending 360 points on things that actually win games. You are not buying 3 units of Breachers and Devilfish. You are not buying a Ghost Keel and a Commander. You are locking your capital into a single fragile basket.
But, sir, the internal comparison data suggests we look specifically at the points convergence regarding the Riptide.
Ah, yes. The Riptide. The blue chip stock of the greater good. Let's unpack this convergence. The Stormsurge is 360 points. The Riptide currently sits at 200 points. Now, I know civilians struggle with basic arithmetic, so let me break this down for you. For the low price of 400 points, a mere 40-point premium over the so-called bargain Stormsurge, you can acquire 2 Riptide chassis. 2. So what we in the business call the 2-for-1 acquisition model.
It does seem to offer more liquidity, sir, but if I may, play the advocate for Tau Tactics for a moment.
You may try, scribe, but tread carefully.
The contractor's report argues that while the Riptide is efficient, it lacks the raw strength check capability. He argues that 2 Riptides might put out more shots, but they are strength 8 or 9. The Stormsurge brings strength 24. He posits that in a meta filled with monoliths and Sutan, the Riptide simply bounces off, whereas the Stormsurge punches through. Is that not a valid diversification of the portfolio?
A fair question, scribe. For a servitor, you were referring to the anti-tank cap.
Yeah.
And yes, on paper, having a strength 24 gun looks like a solution. It looks impressive. But this is where the Tau Tactics report fails the audit. He assumes that punching through is the only way to solve a problem. He is thinking like a brute, not an accountant.
How so, sir?
Because in the current fiscal landscape, by which I mean the match play mission deck, you do not always need to kill the monolith. You need to outscore it. 2 Riptides give you 2 operational hubs. 2 units that can perform actions, 2 units that can be in 2 different table quarters. The Stormsurge is 1 unit, 1. If the monolith teleports to the other side of the board, what happens? Your Stormsurge is useless. It's a statue. The Riptides, however, can split up. It is about board control liquidity, Scribe. The Stormsurge is an asset that is illiquid. It is stuck. But let's dig into that lethality claim. Since the contractor is so obsessed with it, what are his numbers? Read me the propaganda.
It appears to be a matter of raw math, Auditor. The Tau Tactics report highlights the pulse blast cannon. Specifically, he notes that it is, quote, one of the most reliable units into vehicles.
Reliable. We'll see about that.
The data shows a 97% wound conversion rate against toughness 12 targets, when utilizing the proper support, of course.
97% wound conversion. This sounds impressive, doesn't it? It sounds like a guarantee. It sounds like the kind of number a used car salesman throws at you when he's trying to sell you a Rhino with a cracked engine block.
The numbers are quite specific, sir. He cites a 68% chance to one-shot a Rogaldorn tank commander.
68%, so a 1 in 3 chance of complete failure. Go on.
And a 78% chance to kill a Lemon Rust battle tank outright. The weapon profile is Strength 24, AP -6, damage 12.
Strength 24, AP -6, damage 12. I admit, looking at those numbers on a spreadsheet gives a certain tingle to the violent parts of the brain. It is a return on violence that is undeniable. If, and this is a capital IF, the shot connects and resolves. But this is where the civilian falls into the classic variance trap.
The variance trap, sir.
The trap. Look at the shot count, Scribe. How many shots does this God Killer find?
Huge shot, sir, with the focus profile.
Shots. You are betting 360 points of your army's budget on 2 dice rolls. Scribe, have you ever played a game of chance?
I am not permitted to gamble, sir. Departmental regulations.
Good. Because the Stormsurge is a slot machine. The contractor admits this weakness, though he tries to gloss over it. He mentions it struggles into scintillating legion, that's Damon's, for the uninitiated. Why? Because of invulnerable saves.
The report mentions that targets with a 4+ invulnerable save, like Magnus the Red or the Avatar of Cain, present a statistical problem.
A statistical problem is putting it mildly. It is a fiscal disaster. Let's run the audit. Let's visualize the turn. You have moved your Stormsurge, is lumbered into position. You have lined up the shot on Magnus the Red. You fire your massive planet-cracking gun. You hit. You wound. Magnus laughs and rolls 2 dice. He needs a 4+ kern. That is a coin flip. There is a 25% statistical probability, 1 in 4, Scribe, that your opponent flips 2 coins, gets 2 heads, and your 360-point asset is generated 0 value. 0 return on investment. You have effectively set a pile of points on fire and warmed your hands over it.
But the Tau Tactics report argues that the high damage creates a psychological pressure. Even if it misses, the threat of that damage forces the opponent to play differently.
Psychological pressure does not score victory points, Scribe. Do you know what creates pressure? Reliability. Consistency. Whereas the Riptide, the beautiful, fiscally responsible Riptide, consider the triple Riptide portfolio. If you have 3 Riptides, you're putting out 18 shots with the ion accelerators. Volume smooths out variance. It is a law of large numbers.
Law of large numbers.
It is a fundamental principle of the Departmento. If you roll 18 dice, the averages will play out. You will get damage through, maybe not 24 damage in one spectacular hit, but you will chip away. You will kill the elite infantry. You will degrade the tank. If you roll 2 dice with the Stormsurge, you are gambling. The Departmental Analytica does not gamble. We invest.
The internal audit also points out an issue with overkill efficiency, sir. The Riptide's ion accelerator is damage 3 or damage 4 when overcharged.
Exactly, the Space Marine meta. The world is full of Terminators, Custodes, Aggressors. 3-wound models everywhere you look. If you shoot a Stormsurge at a Terminator, you deal 12 damage to a model with 3 wounds. You are wasting 9 damage. That is 75% of your output evaporating into the ether. It is fiscal inefficiency of the highest order. It's like paying for a planetary bombardment to kill a single Grox. The Riptide is optimized. It pays exactly what is owed to kill the model, and not a penny more.
But, sir, surely the Stormsurge has secondary weapons. The contractor mentions them. The cluster rockets, the smart missiles. Tau Tactics mentions that it has a veritable armory attached to its hull.
Trash damage, Scribe. That's what it is. Strength 5, APO or AP-1, into a Terminator or a Custodian. It bounces off like rain on a bunker. You are paying a premium for a main gun that overkills infantry, gets saved by tanks, and a secondary battery that cannot scratch the paint of the things you actually need to kill. It is a portfolio of contradictions. A mess. But let's move on. The contractor must have something to say about how this lumbering beast gets around the battlefield.
Yes, sir. Audit item number 2, mobility. The Tau Tactics report admits the unit only moves 8 inches.
8 inches.
And it lacks the move through walls keyword common to Imperial and Chaos Knights.
It moves slower than a filing cabinet during an office relocation. It's pathetic.
However, the contractor suggests a solution, and this is where he seems quite confident. He recommends the Momka detachment. He argues that by gaining the assault keyword on the weapons and using the Scout 6 enhancement, he can mitigate the issue.
Go on, read the specifics of this fix, this master plan of his.
Well, the Strike Swiftly enhancement grants a unit a 6-inch scout move at the start of the battle, combined with the Momka detachment rule, which gives all weapons assault if the unit was guided.
If. Always an if.
The Stormsurge can advance and shoot, so theoretically it can move 6 inches before the game, then move 8 inches plus an advance roll of d6 inches. That could be a threat range of 15 to 20 inches on turn 1.
Putting a spoiler on a garbage truck does not make it a race car scribe. This is putting lipstick on a pig and calling it a super heavy walker. Let's dismantle this logic piece by piece.
You don't think the math holds up?
The math holds up in a vacuum, a perfect, featureless white room. But we do not fight in a vacuum, we fight on terrain. He is attempting to patch a mechanical void with a Band-Aid. The internal audit is very clear on this. The Stormsurge lacks deep strike. It lacks rapid ingress.
For the uninitiated, sir, could you explain why rapid ingress is so critical?
With pleasure. Rapid ingress is a stratagem. It allows a unit in reserves to arrive on the battlefield at the end of the opponent's movement phase. This is the gold standard of 10th edition tactics. It is how smart generals win wars. It allows you to drop a unit like a Riptide or a Crisis team behind a wall, completely safe from enemy fire. Then, on your turn, you move out and shoot. Guarantees you get to shoot before you get shot. The Stormsurge cannot do this. It has to start on the board. It is what we call a hangar queen. It sits on the board, looking expensive, while the war happens elsewhere.
But the scout move.
The real issue, the issue that these digital generals always forget, is the base size. Scribe, check the log. What is the diameter of the Stormsurge's logistical footprint?
It is mounted on a 170mm oval base, sir. The internal audit refers to this as the logistical anchor.
A 170mm dinner plate. Now listen to me closely, both of you. In the TTS hallucination, that digital realm where physics is the suggestion and terrain is just a texture, you can slide that base wherever you want. But in the real world, on a WTC standardized table.
WTC being the World Team Championship terrain format, correct? That is the standard for competitive play.
Correct. The standard competitive layout. It is dense. It is full of L-shaped ruins. Scribe, picture a standard ruin wall. Now picture another one next to it. The gap between those two ruins is often less than 4 inches. The Stormsurge base is nearly 7 inches wide.
It doesn't fit.
It physically cannot fit between the gaps of most ruins. It cannot toe in to a wall. It has to walk around the terrain. That Scout 6 move, you are likely just scouting it 6 inches to the left to avoid a building, not 6 inches up the board. It is playing Tetris while your opponent is playing Warhammer. It's a joke.
The audit compares this to the Riptide's 120mm base, which is much smaller.
The Riptide is nimble, it fits through the gaps, can touch a wall, claim toe-in rights to get cover, shoot, and then crucially use strike and fade tactics.
The Nova Reactor ability? Or the stratagem?
Either one. The Riptide shoots and then moves 6 inches back behind a wall. It plays peekaboo. It's intelligent warfare. The Stormsurge, it is the Kool-Aid man. It has to smash through the middle of the board. It blocks its own movement lanes. It blocks your other units. It causes a traffic jam in your own deployment zone. It is not just immobile. It is actively obstructive to your own portfolio.
So you're saying the Scout 6 move might actually just scout it into a position where it is, well, stuck.
I am saying that moving 6 inches earlier just means you were disappointed sooner. And speaking of disappointment, Scribe, pause the recording for a moment.
Sir, the audit is ongoing. We have a schedule.
I said pause it. Or at least, edit this out later. I need to address a serious issue. Have you tasted the recaf in the break room today?
I brought my own flask of water, sir. The filtration units in Sector 7 are surprisingly clean.
Smart man. The recaf price has gone up by 3 credits, and yet it tastes like Promethium runoff filtered through a guardsman's sock. I took one sip, and I could feel my organs shutting down in protest. This is what happens when you let the Munitorum handle procurement without proper oversight. It's the same logic as this Stormsurge. Ooh, it's big, it's hot, it must be good recaf. No, it is sludge. It is toxic sludge that costs me my daily stipend.
Sir, perhaps we should focus on the rebel.
And while I'm on the subject of people not knowing quality, you, the listener, the civilian, I know what you're thinking. You're sitting there typing a comment right now. Actually, Auditor Krauss, the Stormsurge base can fit if you rotate it 90 degrees and ask the tournament organizer for a variance permit. Go ahead, type it. Go to the comment section and try to correct my math on base sizes. Civilians always think they know better than the Departamento. They think they can play geometry with a war machine. Go on. Tell me how I'm wrong. I need the engagement metrics anyway. Tell me how you drift your Stormsurge like a Tokyo street racer. I'll wait.
Are you finished, sir? Can we resume?
For now, back to the file. Where were we? Durability. The sunk cost fallacy.
Yes, sir. Durability. The contractor claims this thing is tough. He seems quite adamant about it.
Read the stats. Let's hear 'em.
The Tau Tactics report listed as toughness 11 with a 2+ save, a 4+ invulnerable save, and 20 wounds. He claims it is, quote, more durable than Knight counterparts and more durable for its cost. He argues that at 360 points, having 20 wounds with a 4++ is a bargain compared to an Imperial Knight Castellan, which is much more expensive.
Durable. He confuses stats on a page with survivability on the board. This is the difference between tax evasion and audit liability.
Could you elaborate, sir? Because on paper, T11 is quite high. Most anti-tank weapons are wounding it on 4s or 5s.
Think about visibility, Scribe. The Riptide practices tax evasion. It hides. It uses the terrain. It steps out, shoots, and steps back. If it gets shot, the 4+ invulnerable save is its insurance policy. It's a backup plan. The Stormsurge. The Stormsurge is Titanic. Do you know what the Titanic keyword does in 10th edition regarding ruins?
It means it cannot be obscured by ruins if it is behind them, correct? Unless the ruin is fully blocking it physically.
Essentially, yes. If the ruin's footprint is between the shooter and the Stormsurge, but you can draw a line to the top of the Stormsurge's head, you can shoot it. It is visible from space. It is visible to the entire enemy army from turn 1. There is no hiding. There is no peeking. It is standing in the middle of the field shouting, "Shoot me."
The internal audit calls this the turn 1 liability.
Precisely. Imagine this scenario. You deploy your 360-point Stormsurge. You roll for the first turn. You lose the roll. Your opponent goes first. What do you think happens next?
The opponent directs all anti-tank fire into the Stormsurge.
Every last cannon, every railgun, every lance, every hunter-killer missile. Because they can see it. And because it costs you 360 points, you cannot afford to lose it. So you are forced to roll 4+ invulnerable saves over and over again. You're relying on a coin flip for survival. That is not durability. That is gambling with your life savings. If you fail a few of those 4-ups, poof, the asset is liquidated before it has fired a single shot. The Riptide, however...
Riptide is hidden behind a wall, sir.
Exactly. The Riptide is sipping a martini behind a ruin. The opponent cannot shoot it. The Riptide's durability is irrelevant on turn 1 because it is not being shot at. That is true fiscal security. Not a 4+ save, but total asset protection through obscurity.
But, sir, Tau Tactics suggests that drawing fire is a good thing. If they shoot the Stormsurge, they aren't shooting your breachers. He calls it a distraction Carnifex.
The 360-point distraction is too expensive. A distraction Carnifex should be cheap. A Ghost Keel is a distraction. It costs 160 points and has stealth and lone operative. If the Stormsurge dies turn 1, you have lost nearly 20% of your army. That is not a distraction, that is a catastrophe. And speaking of dice, the contractor noted that flux dice from demons are a problem for the Stormsurge's offense, but wouldn't they also be a problem for its defense? A keen observation, Scribe. If you are fighting Eldari with Fate dice or Sisters of Battle with Miracle dice, they can bypass the variance. They can force a high damage shot through. You cannot force a save. You are playing a fair game with an unfair asset. And the sunk cost deepens. Because to keep this Hanger Queen alive, you have to spend even more. This brings us to audit item number 4, hidden costs.
The interceptor tax, sir?
Hidden fees. It is always the hidden fees that bankrupt you. The contractor recommends a list. What does he include to support this beast?
He recommends 20 breachers, pathfinders, and specifically mentions using stealth suits to guide it. He also implies the need for screening units to prevent charges.
He is building a nursery for a giant, helpless baby.
The internal audit points out that the Stormsurge lacks a weapon support system.
This is the critical failure point. The weapon support system, the WSS. The Riptide has it. It allows the suit to fall back and shoot without penalty or ignore hit modifiers. It is fiscally independent. If a pack of crude hounds charges a Riptide to tie it up, the Riptide simply steps back, shoots them in the face, and continues its day. It is liquid.
But the Stormsurge?
The Stormsurge does not have WSS. If a unit of 65-point crude hounds touches the Stormsurge's base, it is tagged. It is locked in combat. It cannot shoot its big gun out of combat effectively.
It has other guns, though, doesn't it? The small ones.
It has to shoot at the unit tagging it with a penalty, and it cannot shoot the blast weapons into engagement range.
Wait, blast weapons cannot be fired into engagement range? I thought that was a core rule.
Correct. And what are the Stormsurge's main guns? Blast, The pulse blast cannon is blast. The cluster rocket system is blast. If 5 Space Marine scouts charge the Stormsurge, its main output is turned off. It becomes a 360-point paperweight.
So to prevent this, you have to screen it.
To prevent this, you must buy bodyguards. You must pay the interceptor tax. You need Kroot carnivores to stand in front of it. You need piranhas to block charge lanes. You have to arrange them in a human shield around the Stormsurge to prevent anyone from touching it. These units should be outscoring points. They should be completing engage on all fronts. Instead, they are standing around the Stormsurge like a security detail for a spoiled celebrity.
So the cost isn't just 360 points, it's more.
It is 360 points, plus 65 for the Kroot, plus 55 for the Piranha, plus the stealth suits to give it reroll 1s because it's so unreliable. The real operational cost is over 500 points for one model. Meanwhile, the Riptide requires no friends. It is a lone wolf. It walks where it wants. It shoots what it wants. It needs no babysitter. It is a grown-up asset for a serious investor.
The internal audit describes the Riptide as liquid.
It is liquid gold. You can fit 3 of them into a list, the triple tide. Imagine the redundancy, Scribe. If the enemy manages to kill 1 Riptide, which takes a lot of effort, you have 2 left. If they kill your 1 Stormsurge, what do you have left?
Breachers and sadness, sir.
Precisely. You have a portfolio of sadness.
This leads us to the final verdict section, Auditor. The contractor, John, concludes his video by saying, quote, "I'm going to try it out at an RTT. Ditch the coordinated exploitation brick for the Stormsurge."
Stop. He said, ditch the coordinated exploitation brick.
Yes, sir. Those were his exact words.
Scribe, for the benefit of the interns who haven't finished their codex memorization, explain what he's throwing away.
The coordinated exploitation brick refers to a specific synergy in the Monka detachment. It usually involves a commander in an enforcer suit leading a unit of crisis fire knives or sunforged suits equipped with the coordinated exploitation enhancement. This enhancement gives the unit sustained hits 1 when guiding other units, and the commander's own buffs can make the squad, well, incredibly lethal. It is a mathematical force multiplier that buffs the rest of the army.
Exactly. It is a synergy engine. It is the heart of the army's damage output. It makes the rest of your army better. And he wants to throw that away to buy a Stormsurge. He is trading a force multiplier for a variance trap. He is trading synergy for ego.
He's going to try it out. That is the language of a gambler, not an auditor.
It is the language of a man who's about to go 1-4 at his tournament and blame his dice.
He also mentions that while he is skeptical of its power level compared to the meta boogeymen, he believes it is reliable into vehicles.
Reliability is holistic, Scribe. It is not just about wounding on 2s. Reliability is movement. Reliability is not dying turn 1. Reliability is scoring points. And this is the final nail in the coffin. Custody syndrome.
Custody syndrome. Is that related to the Adeptus Custodes?
It is. It refers to the strategic failure often seen in elite armies like the Custodes or Imperial Knights. They have low model counts. They kill things effectively. They are hard to kill, but they lose the game. Why? Because they cannot be in 2 places at once. The Stormsurge is 1 model. It has an objective control stat, sure, but it can only hold 1 circle.
And the triple Riptide list?
3 Riptides cover 3 times the board space. It is the math of presence. A triple Riptide list projects force across the entire width of the table. You can have 1 Riptide on the left flank, suppressing infantry, 1 on the right flank, hunting elites, 1 in the center, acting as an anchor. The Stormsurge projects force in a straight line, 8 inches at a time, until it gets stuck on a ruin wall. In a game won on victory points, not kill counts, the Stormsurge is a win-more asset. It helps you win harder if you are already winning. If you are shooting freely, you are probably already in a good spot. But if you are losing, if you are behind on points, the Stormsurge cannot help you flip an objective on the other side of the map. It cannot perform actions efficiently. It is a luxury item. And in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, we do not have the budget for luxury.
So your judgment on the Tau Tactics report is final.
The report is rejected. The recommendation to ditch the coordinated exploitation brick is financially unsound and, frankly, insulting to the intelligence of this office. My directive is clear. Liquidate the Stormsurge, melt it down for scrap, reinvest that capital into the triple Riptide portfolio, build the Fiscal Fortress.
The Fiscal Fortress. I will make a note of that for the official log, sir.
Do that. And Scribe.
Yes, Auditor.
Don't let me catch you watching these hype videos again. Next time you bring your report that says a unit is cracked, it better be because the chassis has physically snapped in half due to poor manufacturing standards.
Understood, sir.
Right.
I will scrub my browser history immediately.
Now, before we dismiss the class, I want to address the bigger picture.
The bigger picture, sir. I thought the audit was complete.
You know, Scribe, sometimes I look at the Stormsurge and I don't feel anger, I feel pity.
Pity, sir. For a war engine, it is a machine of destruction.
It is a relic, not in age, but in philosophy. It was built for a different kind of war. A war where two armies lined up in open fields and smashed each other to pieces. A war of attrition. A war of big guns never tire. It is a beautiful dream, in a way. The idea that if you just build a big enough gun, you can solve any problem.
But the reality is...
The reality is the pariah nexus. The reality is secret missions. The reality is a war of movement, of shadows, of tactical nuance. It is a war of accountants and spies, not titans. The Stormsurge is a dinosaur looking up at the meteor. It is a beast that cannot hide from its own obsolescence. It stands there, tall and proud, powering over the ruins. But the ruins are the only thing that matters now. It is trapped in that mechanical void, foot-slogging through the debris of a dying galaxy, trying to find a target that hasn't already outmaneuvered it.
That is unexpectedly poetic, Auditor.
Do not mistake clarity for poetry, scribe. It is just the final line on the balance sheet. The galaxy's moved on. The Stormsurge has not.
Do I close the file, sir?
Close it. Seal it. And for the listener, if you found this audit educational, if you wish to avoid financial ruin on the tabletop, for the love of the Empire, tap that like button and hit subscribe. It is the only currency that matters in this algorithmic hellscape.
Entry 994 Alpha concluded.
Dismissed. Pay your tithes, citizens.